Fat Joe is continuing a narrative, or I guess a discussion that's been talked about for quite some time. And even I believed it to a certain point, but I don't believe it anymore. I mean, you can go in the history and just look at how each artist was treated during their peak. So what am I talking about? Let's go over the article. Fat Joe has gone out of his way to praise Chris Brown and compare to Michael Jackson. Of course, comparing him to Michael Jackson. Well, who else is Chris Brown going to compare it to? The Bronx rapper took to Instagram Live over the weekend to give Breezy his flowers, claiming he'd be put on a high pedestal if it wasn't for his domestic violence case with Rihanna. Let's play the clip and see what Fat Joe has to say.
Yo, let me tell you something. I got to get to this Chris Brown show. If Chris Brown never got into the controversy with Rihanna, we wouldn't be calling him Michael Jackson right now. Not like Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson. He is the most talented singer, artist, performer, hit maker of our time. There's nobody even close to Chris Brown. And it's time we move past it. It's been 20-something years that I know of. There's no more incidents. Man, we're going to let this lifetime go by without saying the truth? And so what happens is, when the truth is an unpopular decision, everybody gets scared to say it. They get canceled, especially famous people or somebody like that, right? But, you know, the streets, they know what it is. Streets always know. They tell you the truth. There's the streets still bumping R. Kelly. He's in jail. He did terrible things. They still bumping R. Kelly. So what I'm trying to say is that it's a shame that we lying and we're not giving it up to the king of R&B, the king of music. I mean, you know, the Michael Jackson, you know, we be thinking he could battle Michael Jackson. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not lying. If you really look at his body of work and you look at all his hits, you see what he does, you remove from your mind that we don't like it. We don't like that he had a controversy. We don't like that. We don't condone the queens. We out here to protect the queen. We get that. He was a little kid 20-some years ago.
See, I used to fall into this narrative as well. That, you know, Chris Brown, if he never did the Rihanna thing, you know, he would have a slew of hits. He would have more support, and he would be at the level of Michael Jackson. But then I thought about it, and if you look at Drake, right? Drake says he's the Michael Jackson. He's got the same amount of hits. He sold a lot of records. But does the world, not even just us, right, in the hip hop world, does the world look at Drake like as Michael Jackson? Have we ever seen somebody faint over Drake? Has Drake toured the world? Not just America or parts of the UK or like the world. I mean, go to Japan, go to China, go to wherever, Russia, go to all in Europe, every continent that there is, and have people faint and people just go out of their minds. We haven't seen that with Chris Brown or with Drake. Have we seen Drake go to a mall and the whole fucking place get shut down? I have yet to see that. And here's the reason why. In today's time, there will never be a Michael Jackson. No matter how many records, Taylor Swift is selling astronomical numbers, right? But in today's time, there are too many, the attention is spread out to too many celebrities and famous artists and people because of social media, because of technology. Back then, when you had a famous artist, that was the famous artist that was in front of your face. You didn't really have an option. The only option you had was to watch MTV or BET or whatever channel was available at the time. Sometimes, shit, when Michael Jackson was around, it was only a few channels. And they weren't even playing Michael Jackson until later on MTV. So when you only have, like, that's why when you look at viewership on a lot of events, like back then, like if you look at the O.J. Simpson thing, right? It was reported like 100 million people watched that because there were only like a few channels back then. And most people were actually watching TV. Now our attention is either on our phones, laptops, TV, whatever, social media. So that aura is gone for the most part. Now, I'm not saying if Drake went, did a show, like people were going to go crazy and that Drake doesn't have star power and that. No, he definitely is up there. But you can't match that aura anymore because back then, there was limited amount of celebrities and artists. Now you can anybody can become famous tomorrow. Drop a song, and if it takes off, what's that Tommy Richmond, the guy's #1 record. TikTok took off, boom. All of a sudden, he's famous. He's got a #1 record, and he's doing his thing. That takes away from the star power. The star power isn't focused, in such a small, packed area. It's spread out now. Our attention span, or not our attention span, but just our attention, and even our attention span, but our attention is spread out a lot more places now. And there are more people in the pool, let's just say. Just imagine a pool, and there's only a few people in the pool. Now there's a lot more. So, because of that, Chris Brown, even though Chris Brown came at a time where 2005, where there's still a chance for him to build that up, it just doesn't. Even if Chris Brown never got into that stuff, he could be delivering album after. Just the attention, the span, the promotion of things has been spread out. It's no longer where there's a few main hot artists and that's it. There's people that are listening to artists that I've never fucking heard of, dog. Like there's people out here listening to people that I've never heard of. That I mentioned on this podcast, I never heard of. People like, well, you never heard of this guy? I mean, that's how many artists there are. It's impossible. So if I was talking to Fat Joe, I would tell him that. Like, hey, it's just the time frame that Chris Brown came in. If Michael Jackson, right, 70s, 80s, you can say 90s too, popped off. And then Chris Brown popped off right after him, like a Usher situation, where Usher popped off, started popping off in 1993, 95. Then if he would have done that, then you could have the argument. But nah, not in this time, not in this order. But hey, man, that's the kind of conclusion I came up with after all these kind of years of thinking about it. I was like, think about Drake. Like, just think about it. This guy's breaking all these records, but yet he doesn't have that same aura that Michael Jackson had. And even Prince and, a lot of these older artists, Kurt Cobain and Madonna and whoever at the time was the big thing. So, yeah, that's my take on it.